Hello and welcome. I'm Mohammed Ajluni, and this is our Humanizing HR series. Today, we're diving into a topic that, let's be honest, a lot of people dread, the performance appraisal.
So in this series, what we're really trying to do is put the human element back at the center of human resources. And there's probably no better place to start than with performance appraisals. But what if we could take this process, this thing that feels like a judgment, and turn it into a real, genuine tool for growth? That's what we're going to explore.
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to rethink the entire concept of appraisals. Then, we'll talk about what it means to see an employee holistically. After that, we'll get into why continuous feedback beats an annual judgment, why team goals are so much better than individual KPIs, and finally, how to pull it all together into a culture that's actually focused on development. Okay, let's jump into section 1. It's all about rethinking the performance appraisal. The big idea here is shifting our mindset away from that one big, stressful meeting a year and towards something that's supportive and happens all the time. This quote right here really nails the problem. The old systems just don't work. Why? Because people aren't static. Employee development is always in motion. It's dynamic. So how could one score, given once a year, ever truly reflect a person's whole contribution, their growth, or the manager's role in helping them along? It just can't. So what's the answer? Well, we have to start seeing appraisals as a continuous, ongoing process that's all about development. This isn't about that one big formal meeting. It's about what happens every day, the observation, the coaching, the immediate and helpful feedback. It needs to be a conversation, not a final verdict. All right, so if we're moving away from the old model, what are we supposed to be assessing? This is where a holistic view of the employee comes in, and it's really built on 4 key dimensions. The first one is compliance. Now, you can think of this as the foundation. These are the absolute non-negotiables. Is the employee showing up and adhering to the company's policies, its standards, and its ethical expectations? It's really the baseline for professional conduct. The second, and this is what most people think of, is, of course, performance. It's pretty straightforward. How effective is this person in their job? Are they hitting their objectives? Are they contributing to the team's overall results? This is all about the what they deliver. But see, the what is only half the picture. We also need to look at the how. And that brings us to the behavioral aspects. How do they get their work done? Do their actions, their attitudes actually align with the company's values? Are they contributing positively to the culture? And our fourth and final dimension is cognitive aspects. This is all about their knowledge, their skills, and their capabilities. It really gets at an employee's potential and their own drive for growth. Are they learning? Are they building the competencies they need to succeed tomorrow? And when we look at the cognitive side, we're asking some really specific questions. Is this person on a path to the next level? Are they actively seeking out new knowledge and skills? And this is the important part, are they actually using what they learn to make things better, to contribute to making the whole organization smarter? This all leads us perfectly into our third section, coaching over judgment. The real goal here is to change the manager's role entirely, away from being a judge once a year and toward being a coach every single day. And here's the thing, when a manager is truly coaching, observing, and giving feedback constantly, that big formal end-of-year review starts to feel, pointless. It becomes almost completely redundant. And the number one rule should be this: there should never, ever be any surprises in a performance conversation. So this brings up a really critical question, one that really flips the traditional script. When an employee's performance isn't where it needs to be, is that just on them? Or do we need to look at the manager's responsibility in that equation? This slide really says it all. The old way, we point the finger at the employee and say, fix it. But in a human-centered system, weak performance is a signal. It's a flag that tells us there's probably been a lack of coaching. So the responsibility shifts. It's not just on the employee. It's on the manager to guide and coach their team to success. Now let's talk about goals. In Section 4, we're going to see why it's so important to focus on team goals and individual growth, rather than just getting hung up on individual scores. I mean, think about it. How does most real work get done? It's done by teams, working together. So it just makes sense that our key performance indicators, our KPIs, should be measured at the team or unit level first and foremost. That's how you reinforce collaboration. When you focus too much on judging people by individual KPIs, you're asking for trouble. It pretty much always leads to unhealthy competition. It distorts teamwork because people start looking out for themselves. And honestly, it just oversimplifies what complex collaborative performance actually looks like.
Okay, let's wrap this all up in our final section. The end game here isn't just a new process. It's about creating a truly human-centered practice, one that builds a culture of genuine development and support.
This whole transformation really boils down to these three fundamental shifts. Number one, moving from that periodic once-a-year evaluation to continuous, ongoing development. Two, getting away from individual scorekeeping and moving toward team accountability. And three, we stop looking backward to judge and we start coaching in real time. And when you make these shifts, something amazing happens. Performance management stops being this dreaded, bureaucratic chore. It becomes what it was always meant to be, an essential, everyday practice of good leadership. And that, right there, is the heart of humanizing HR. It's all about shifting the focus. We stop putting all our energy into judging people, and we start investing that energy into developing them. It's about nurturing their potential. So in the end, a performance appraisal system shouldn't be a tool for control. It should be exactly this: a human-centered practice that actually enables people to thrive, to contribute in a meaningful way, and to grow in an environment that is supportive and focused on learning. That's the kind of culture that wins.
Thanks so much for joining me today. This has been Mohammed Ajlouni for the Humanizing HR series.